Things in Calgary just got more intense as one NHL Insider has dropped a major Connor Zary contract update. Fans are begging both sides to get a deal done, and it sounds like we may be closer to that as of this morning. No deal has yet to be reached, but everyone has their fingers crossed. We're going to get into all that more in this video, but first I want to welcome you to Flames Digest. I'm Mark Griffith. If you're new around here and you love the Flames, make sure you subscribe so you can stay up to date on all the latest news, updates, reports, and rumors revolving around your Calgary Flames. We would love to welcome you to the Flames Digest family. Let's hop straight in and talk about this Zary update that we are all looking for. It's funny. Flames fans, we don't ask for too much, to be honest, but there's a few things that we really wish would happen. One of them, of course, being a Connor Zary contract, maybe a Dustin Wolf extension as well, a Rasmus Andersson trade, maybe a couple other trades if possible. But really, at the end of the day, come on, Connor Zary and his side. Come on, Craig Conroy and the Flames side. Just get to a deal. Make the fans happy. But we do have an update from an NHL Insider. It is David Pagnotta. So he actually recently came out with this. So he said, "Hi, September. Here's my latest on McDavid, Kaprizov, Eichel, Kempe, Connor, etc. contract situations plus." Now, obviously, we don't care about any of that first stuff said, unless you think Connor means Connor Zary. I think it means Cal Connor, but either way. So Habs and Price trade talk. I don't care. Flames. There we go. Zary deal closer. Backlund extension. That could be a total own video on Backlund. We're just going to focus on Zary. So Zary deal closer. That is fantastic. All ready to hear. I mean, technically, if you look at philosophically at how time works, yes, we're closer to it no matter what as each second passes, but we don't have to hurt our brains and think about it that way. So this is what Pagnotta had to say. So he said, chatting with Flames captain Michael Backlund in Milan 10 days ago, it is clear he is confident he will be sticking around Calgary after his current contract expires. There's work to be done, but an extension at some point seems expected. Very interesting. That's great for Backlund. We've kind of talked about it a bit. Will there be a spot for him on this team? What will his role kind of look like as it progresses? He wants to play into the new arena, but either way, interesting. That's it for Backlund. I promise we're just going to focus on Zary now. So he says, also on the Flames, I'm told contract talks with restricted free agent youngster Connor Zary are quote-unquote getting closer on a 3-year deal, but there is still work to be done. Probably why nothing obviously has been announced yet. So that's just kind of the quick write-up that Pagnotta did himself. We have a great article here from Preston Hodgkinson, and he wrote it out great. So he writes, Calgary Flames closing in on contract extension with Connor Zary report. So we're not going to look at the entire article, but all credit due to Preston for kind of writing this one up. So he writes, negotiations between the Flames and Ford Connor Zary have taken quite a bit longer than a lot expected, but it finally sounds like the two sides are closing in on an agreement, which is fantastic to hear. That is music to the ears of all Flames fans. The fourth period's David Pagnotta reported on Tuesday morning that the Flames are closing in on a 3-year deal with the 23-year-old. Zary was an RFA this summer and is coming off his second full season in the NHL. I think 3 years is exactly what most people are expecting. A lot of people think is, kind of the issue here that Zary wants longer term. That's definitely, kind of assumed at this point. It's never really safe to assume as a sports fan in general. But yeah, you can kind of assume Zary probably wants a little bit more term. The Flames are comfortable with 3, and then in terms of money, probably between $3.5, $4 million. We've spoken about it a million times on the channel now. So this is the actual tweet here, another tweet from Pagnotta after the ones we've already seen. So he said, still work to be done. They're not yet at the finish line, but I'm told, who told you? I'm told the Flames are getting closer to a deal with RFA Connor Zary. Sounds like it may end up at 3 years. It's funny to never say your source. You'd assume maybe he's talking to someone from the Flames side or from the Zary side, but either way, I'd say this is probably the biggest update we've had so far on the Zary situation, if it's obviously legitimate, but you would kind of assume it is at this point. Now, this would be a dramatic reversal in what has recently been reported on the contract talks. Just last week, Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman said that he heard the two sides were struggling to find common ground. This spurred some concern among Flames fans that the former first-round pick may not have a new deal in place for training camp later this month. And quickly, let me interrupt. Technically, it's not real Flames regular season hockey, but we have Flames hockey this month. Everyone is looking forward to it. We'll finally have some content. Apologies for over Labor Day weekend. There wasn't exactly a bunch of videos, but that's because what the heck are you going to talk about when there ain't much? But thank goodness we finally have some content. We finally have some Flames hockey later this month. You gotta love September. But either way, it was especially confusing as the Flames seemed to have no trouble extending some of their other RFAs this summer, including Matt Coronato, who signed a 7-year deal back in May. Two other notable Flames RFAs, Morgan Frost and Adam Klapka, also inked a pair of 2-year deals earlier in the summer. This left Zary as the last big RFA left for Flames general manager Craig Conroy to sign. And every situation is different. You know, Matt Coronato showed totally what he's capable of. That's why he got more years. Klapka and Frost, they're more on prove-it deals, you can say, where, you know, if they play really well, they could sign a bigger contract, you know, whether it's with the Flames or not later on. Zary's somewhere in the middle of that, you would kind of assume. So it's a very interesting situation when it comes to Zary, and probably why it's taken a lot longer. Way longer than a lot of us thought. Who would have thought going into September Zary still wouldn't be signed? But either way, it is interesting. Now, Zary is considered a massive piece for this rebuilding Flames team. He was selected 24th overall back in the 2020 draft and has shown flashes of offensive brilliance, albeit in limited opportunities. He managed to appear in 54 NHL games last season, scoring 13 goals and 27 points. Zary's rookie season was his best to date, finding the back of the net 14 times and picking up 34 points. Excuse me, I clearly have something going on. With business starting to pick up around the NHL, Flames fans should be happy to hear that a new deal appears to be on the horizon for Zary. Bottom line, that's what we care about most. That's what we wanted to hear, and that is honestly fantastic to hear. Now, a lot of people have been talking about the Zary situation. What's he going to sign? And it's kind of bonkers if you go on social media for all this. So Flames Nation, quite a while ago now, a few days, they tweeted out, if you were the general manager of the Calgary Flames, what would you be willing to pay Connor Zary on his next contract? And this one blew me away. So Brendan here said, I'd pay Zary a 6-year, $42 million contract, so $7 million per year, with a $15 million signing bonus. That's crazy. That's definitely one end of the spectrum of potential, I guess, contracts that can be handed out in a way. That's more of to me, like an NFL deal or maybe NBA or something. Obviously, hockey players make way less, like he's saying here. But either way, I thought that was crazy to see, because most of what we're, hearing, most of what people think is fair when you look at other comparables and such is, between probably $3.5 to $4 million per year, 3 years, 2 or 3 years, but most people saying 3. So interesting overall. Now, other people have been talking about it. So Devin here said, the delay to me is because he still wants a long-term contract. Conroy isn't going to give that to him unless it's around $3 to $3.5 million. So if it's cheaper, maybe he'll give more out, which is, from the Flame side, totally valid. The question becomes if Zary bets on himself in one season and goes for 1 year, or if he wants to buffer and go for a 2 to 3 year bridge. And is that still the question that is holding this up? Could potentially be. Another person says maybe the Zary contract holdup is that there is a trade on the table, Zary and Andersson for Mason McTavish from Anaheim. And that's a trade I think a lot of Flames fans would make. Others would say, hell no, give us more. But either way, it's not a trade is on the table, but it's always fun to speculate, of course, in both contract talks and trade talks. And overall, it's enlightening to hear that apparently they're getting a little bit closer. There's still a little work to be done, but maybe Zary just needs to come to Calgary. I think it's been reported that he just hasn't come back to Calgary yet this summer. So much easier to get the deal done in person, obviously. So don't quote me on that. I don't know that for sure. Personally, I haven't seen him walking around the streets of Calgary this summer, but I haven't seen any of the Flames doing that. But either way, Zary contract situation. Do you think he signs before training camp? And if he does, what do you think that deal looks like? Now let's get into the comment of the day to wrap up this video, as we love to do here on the channel. It comes from the most recent video, of course. This was an interesting comment here from, double comment of the day. It comes from Cody here. Now, Cody says, if Calgary wants to really commit to a rebuild, this is what they would do. Let me make this a little bigger. So he says, to Carolina, Nazem Kadri and a 2026 third-round pick. Wow, trading Kadri. That's huge. To Calgary, 2026 first-round pick and a 2026 fifth if
Carolina has one. So the Hurricanes really need that second line center. Yes, they do. While the Flames could always brighten up their prospect pool, Carolina's in win now mode and already has a beefed up prospect pool with good young talent in their roster. I could see them willing to give up a first for that second line center despite Kadri being 35. And I don't know, a 2026 first for Carolina. A lot of people have Carolina high. You're thinking 25 and up. 25 to 32 is kind of the position of that draft pick. So is that really worth it for Kadri and all that he's done? I know you get the we get the 5th round pick. We give away the 3rd. So I would want a little more, but it is interesting if you totally do want to really commit to the rebuild. Again, feel free to drop your thoughts down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please subscribe to what you saw here today and have a wonderful rest of your day.